Good morning. I'm thinking of starting like a little segment called Coffee Talks with Mel or something like that. But before I get into it, I just want to thank you first for joining me. And I just want to share a reminder that no matter what you're experiencing and what you're going through or what your current situation is right now with yourself, whatever those words that are kind of consuming your mind right now, I just want to remind you that you do not need the external validation of anybody to prove you of your worth. And this is a really important piece to me because back before I started doing all sorts of inner work, started really taking the steps to discover who I was, to really get to the bottom of what were those like voices in my head, why were they there, why did I think the way that I thought, why did I behave the way that I did, and why I was really limiting myself. The one thing that I really noticed is that I was always seeking external validation. I was always really worried about what other people thought of me. I never felt really confident in my decisions, and it was kind of crippling. It really slows life down. And it's like every move you make, you're constantly just questioning yourself and whether or not you should make it, or what that's going to mean about you, or what somebody else is going to say. And it just got to the point where I couldn't live like that anymore. And I didn't want to live like that anymore. And I didn't even really realize I was doing it for a period of time. It just sort of was. Until I just realized like how truly impacted I was by my external world and the things that would happen and how that would affect me emotionally. And that's where I really noticed it was I would have these like big emotional responses and reactions to things, to what people said or didn't say. And it was just really consuming because then I would play that I guess like a record player over and over in my head, and it would just keep spinning over and over and over again. And it was me just like constantly being like, well, maybe if I said it this way, it'd be different, or maybe if I did this, it would be different, or maybe I should have said this instead, or, and I really attached my self-worth to what other people thought of me. But the irony is I didn't even really know what they thought of me. I was also creating those stories in my head as well. And so it took a fair bit of time to really overcome that. But that work was so valuable for me. And I'm still doing that work today. I still think that work is extremely valuable today. And so if you're somebody who really struggles with those voices and your self-worth, I really, really, really want to affirm that your self-worth has nothing to do with the things that you do, the things that you say, has nothing to do with what other people think. And I can tell you from experience, because I've even had people say stuff to me, and now I really live in this place of like freedom where it's like nothing can take it away from me. Nothing can take my self-worth away from me, because I realize just how unattached I am to everything that's happening around me. All of the things that I do in my life now, I find are really just a vehicle for me to experience more and learn more and grow more. That's really it. And all of it really comes down to coming back to myself. And that has been the most peaceful, radical change in my life, because now I really get to go out there, put myself out there, try new things, explore new things, say what's on my mind too. I struggled so hard with that. I don't know. Comment below if you struggled really hard with that for a while as well. I struggled very hard with actually speaking my mind and saying what it is that I was really feeling, because I feared that if I said what I really felt and thought, that people would leave, and that I wouldn't have what I wanted, which was like that feeling of connection and feeling of love. But what I really realized is that if that was enough to make somebody leave, then that was not a true connection or true love in the first place. And I mean that like partners, friends, family, all of it. And so I started to really experiment with that, and I almost had to like keep that in the back of my mind as I was like making decisions and living out my life. And that's actually something, so a lot of people are like, well, how do you do the work? How do you get better at this stuff? How do you, and it's really just constant retraining. And that is something that you can actually do is create like a sticky note for yourself, reminding yourself, or put it on like the, your screensaver of your phone or the backdrop of your phone. That way, when you look at it, you have that constant reminder of like true connection and true love will be there no matter what you're going through, and what you say and what you speak, right? It will be there. It's supportive, it's different. And I think too often we're just so willing to let all of these things into our lives that really don't help us, and they don't serve us, and they're not true to us, and they're just not meant to be, because the truth of it all is that we are all on such different paths in life. We're all on different paths at like different varying levels of our life, different levels of consciousness. And so we're not always going to sync up with people, right? But those people that we aren't synced up with, is that the word? The people that we are not synced up with energetically or consciously, they're there to like reflect something within us. They're there to kind of teach us something about ourselves, whether it's something that we have to work on, or maybe something comes up and it's a little bit of a conflict, but you realize like how it didn't impact you the same way, or how you handled it so much better, and you're like, oh, like, you know, I think I'm really starting to get this, or I'm really starting to grow. And so it's, I think that bringing it back to the whole self-worth and looking for external validation, when you're young, you just don't really know any better. And we kind of go through that phase of like, we rely on people in our world to survive, because we're young, we're not as resourceful, and we don't really have like the coping mechanisms, and we don't really have a firm grasp of who we are and our life. And I would say we could have a firm grasp of who we are, but then it gets shaped by the people around us, and we kind of lose that. Hello. She is like photobombing us right now. But yeah, bringing it all back, it becomes very easy to let people into our lives, and Callie, you're gonna knock over the camera. To let people into our lives, and to just accept things. She's now going after the mic, so I apologize if that is like disruptive. And to accept things that we wouldn't otherwise accept, because we feel like our worth is in our social situations. We feel like our worth is in other people. We feel like we won't make it unless we have people in our lives. Callie, she's like very distracting right now. All right, bringing it back. Okay, there's not, this is also something I've been trying to practice a lot of. It's like, things don't have to be perfect, okay? Things are gonna come up, things are gonna happen, but are you gonna make it like the end? Are you gonna make it, okay girl, see here, stop. She doesn't like being coddled, so I find that's my way of like getting rid of her sometimes. Things aren't always gonna go smoothly, but does that mean something? Does that actually mean that it's not good, or it's not valuable, or that it's the end, or, you know? I'm really trying to embrace that like messy action. Okay, bringing it back. Sorry, a little detour there. Bringing it back. Yeah. My wish for everybody is that they start living true to themselves, and that they learn how to really detach from external sources of validation. So they're not constantly, their moves and their actions and their behaviors and their thoughts are not constantly dictated by something outside of themselves. And then they can be a true, pure expression of who they really are. And when we do that, people feel it. People feel that energy, and you have such an impact on this world just by being you. And then you show other people how to be themselves too. And then people feel a little safer to be themselves. And I think that would just create the most beautiful, beautiful world. Anyways, I think I'm gonna stop the rant there. I hope you have a wonderful day. And maybe write down for yourself that everybody is on a different path. Everybody's on a different journey. They're all at their own phase in life of what they're learning, what they're experiencing, and that's okay. You know, not everybody has to be on the same page, and you don't have to be on the same page either. And to really honor that, really honor that, and keep that in the back of your mind as you're going through life. And when that little critical, judgmental voice comes in, remind yourself that they have a completely different experience. You have a completely different experience. You're both navigating completely different things, and it doesn't mean anything about you if somebody doesn't agree with you, or if somebody thinks differently, or if somebody says something. They're just at a different point in their life, and like, let them have that. You know, we are all entitled to our own opinion. Let them have that, and wish them well on their way, and come back to you, and remember to keep doing you. I hope you have a beautiful day, and we will chat soon.